one felt that New Zealand were just a little bit too defensive.
I was just going to ask you to bring up
that
that chart up again.
Yes.
Because if you look at that chart, they'll be very happy with the way they played the first 10 overs.
The third 10 overs is what you're looking at?
For me, the second and the 21st to 30, maybe even 25 to 30, between 25 and 40 is where I think they kind of probably just, lost the plot just a little bit. They went too much into their shell, perhaps.
Especially Ross Taylor, he just looked as if he was just going to play one shot.
So when you look at it now, after all the rain and all of that, maybe in hindsight, you can, in hindsight, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? You can think that maybe they felt that the rain would come into play, and so they felt that keep securing wickets was also important in this innings. Maybe that's what they thought. We could argue about that, but looking at that phase between 21 and 40 overs, one felt that if that run rate was between 21 and 30 was 5, and that 31 to 40 was 5.2. It would have been advantage New Zealand at this point in time, for sure.
Especially given the fact that that third segment, you hadn't lost any wickets and they had two stalwarts batting out there. They just not lost Henry Nicholls, and you thought that, okay, fine, maybe this is the time they can repair it. And one of the two could actually go a little hard. Hardik Pandya that time had gone off the field. We're not quite sure. So India was slightly on the back foot.
And I think that might have played on batsman's mind at that stage, hoping that you may get 6 overs of Hardik with someone
Virat Kohli,
possibly Virat or Rohit to come on to bowl, or MS
or MS even actually.
Might be the case, saying that okay, we may get those 6 overs which you can really capitalize on, and they slowed down in that phase. But also when Chahal and Jadeja was bowling, it looked like they were not willing to take those chances. They were very restrictive in terms of their shot making.
Correct.
Is what I felt. Looking at the field placement as well, there was no deep mid wicket, and the lengths which both the bowlers were bowling. Actually, you could have had some kind of pressure being put on those bowlers in that phase. They let the pressure build on them. And like we've always been seeing throughout in this tournament, Williamson and Taylor was going to be the crucial factor. The batting was over dependent on Williamson, and that's what we saw. I think that over dependence on Williamson actually made Williamson more go in the shell, more reserved, more cautious. And that's something which we saw. That flow was not there, and suddenly he was trying to get things moving and lost his wicket because he was not getting that support from the other end as well. In Ross Taylor, they both were approaching that the individual innings in a very conservative manner. So someone had to get a move on, and it was Williamson who tried doing that but couldn't really get going.
Again, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but in those partnerships, they had 65 from 109 balls, if I'm not wrong. Imagine that same thing being 85 over 102 balls. And this 20 runs to the scoreboard now. They were 211. They would have been 230, 231, 232.
Yep. Imagine
that with 4 overs to go. And if the rain is not in contention, it would have been advantage New Zealand. It's just those 20 runs in those 20 overs that will make the difference if New Zealand don't go on to win this game in this kind of a scenario. If you're looking at things from New Zealand's perspective, but India would be very happy with the way they bowled. If you saw when Jadeja and Chahal were bowling, they started attacking Chahal only in his 9th and 10th over.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That 18
They didn't go after him till that point at all. Now, if they took the attack to him and put him under pressure, he probably would have leaked a little more runs, because for him also it's a pressure game. For him, it's also a World Cup semi-finals as much as it is for them. But they were not proactive in thinking about that, and that's where India, I think, have a slight upper hand at this point in time, given that hoping that the rain doesn't come into play, and the rain, the Duckworth, Lewis and Stern doesn't really come into play. Then it's advantage India. If it does come into play, I think it's even Stevens.